Imagine this. Two people walk into the same car dealership on the same day. They both want the exact same car. They have similar jobs, similar incomes. Yet one person drives away paying hundreds of dollars less every month, while the other signs a loan that will quietly cost thousands more over the years. What made the difference? It wasn't luck. It wasn't intelligence. It wasn't income. It was a single 3-digit number. That number is called your credit score. And whether you realize it or not, it's one of the most powerful financial tools you'll ever have. It can determine how much you pay for a car, whether you're approved for an apartment, how much interest you'll owe on a mortgage, and even influence some insurance costs. The difference between an average score and an excellent one isn't just a number, it's money that stays in your pocket. Here's the surprising part. Most people think an 800 credit score belongs only to millionaires or Wall Street investors. But that's one of the biggest myths in personal finance. Banks don't reward wealth, they reward reliability. An excellent credit score isn't built by making one perfect decision. It's built through hundreds of small, smart decisions repeated over time. Imagine lending money to a friend. If they always paid you back on time, you'd trust them again without hesitation. But if they disappeared every time money was involved, you'd probably think twice before lending them another dollar. Banks think the same way, only instead of emotions, they use algorithms. Calling customer service and saying, "I promise I'll be responsible this time," isn't how credit scores work. Instead, your actions speak much louder than your words. Every payment, every balance, every financial decision becomes part of your credit story. The good news? No matter where your score is today, whether it's 550, 650, or somewhere in between, you can start improving it. Not overnight, not through magic, but through a proven system that anyone can learn. And that's exactly what we're going to cover today. By the end of this video, you'll understand how people build an 800 credit score, and more importantly, how you can begin building one too. But before we jump into the steps, there's one question we need to answer first. What actually makes up a credit score? Because if you don't understand the rules of the game, every financial decision becomes a guess. Most people simply never learn them. Every credit score is built on 5 major factors: payment history, credit utilization, length of credit history, credit mix, and new credit inquiries. Think of these as the 5 pillars holding up your financial reputation. Ignore one, and the structure weakens. Strengthen all 5, and you're laying the foundation for excellent credit. But here's where things get interesting. Not all 5 factors carry the same weight. One of them is responsible for more than a third of your score. So let's begin with the foundation of every great credit score: payment history. If your credit score were a building, payment history would be the foundation. That's because payment history accounts for roughly 35% of your credit score. Every time you make a payment on time, you're sending one clear message: I'm someone who can be trusted. Imagine lending your coworker $100 every month. If they paid you back exactly when they promised, month after month, you'd probably lend to them again without hesitation. That's exactly how lenders think. They don't know you personally, they only know your history. And your history is your reputation. Here's where many people make an expensive mistake. They think one late payment isn't a big deal. But once a payment becomes seriously overdue and is reported, it can affect your credit history for years. A single missed payment today can continue influencing tomorrow's opportunities. That's why successful borrowers don't depend on memory. They build systems. Automatic payments, calendar reminders, banking alerts. Let's be honest, remembering every due date is about as realistic as remembering every password you've ever created, and still wonder why their score isn't climbing. The reason often comes down to something they don't even realize they're doing. It's called credit utilization. Imagine your credit card is like a glass of water. The glass represents your credit limit. The water represents how much of that limit you're using. Now here's the interesting part. Even if you can completely fill the glass, lenders generally prefer seeing that you've only used a small portion of it. That's credit utilization, and it makes up roughly 30% of your credit score. Let's say your credit card has a limit of $10,000. If your reported balance is only $500, your utilization is just 5%. That's excellent. Even if you plan to pay it off later, that high reported balance can temporarily lower your score. One of the biggest myths in personal finance is that carrying a balance helps build credit. It doesn't. You don't earn extra points for paying interest. What lenders want to see is responsible borrowing, not expensive borrowing. Here's a simple habit many financially organized people follow. Instead of making just one payment every month, they make smaller payments throughout the month. It's a small adjustment that can make a noticeable difference over time. At this point, you've learned the two biggest drivers of an excellent credit score. Balance is low. If you master only these two habits, you're already controlling nearly 2/3 of your entire credit score. Imagine planting a tree. You spend years watering it, protecting it, and watching it grow. One day, because you're not sitting under its shade very often, you decide to cut it down. Yet thousands of Americans do something surprisingly similar with their oldest credit card. They close it, without realizing what they're giving up. Your length of credit history makes up about 15% of your credit score. While that's smaller than payment history or credit utilization, every additional year of responsible credit history quietly strengthens your financial reputation. And speaking of building a stronger reputation, what if you're just starting from scratch? What if you don't have years of history to show? A trusted family member or partner with a long history of on-time payments and low balances adds you as an authorized user on one of their credit cards. Depending on the card issuer and reporting practices, that positive account history may also appear on your credit report, helping you establish a stronger credit profile. But there's an important warning. This strategy works only when the primary cardholder has excellent credit habits. If they carry high balances or miss payments, those negative behaviors may affect you as well. So choose carefully. You're not borrowing their money, you're borrowing their reputation. The final factor is called credit mix, and it represents about 10% of your credit score. In simple terms, lenders like seeing that you can responsibly manage different types of credit over time. One of the biggest mistakes people make is opening unnecessary accounts just to improve this category. That's the wrong approach. Never take on debt simply to chase a higher score. Your credit score should be a reflection of healthy financial habits, not the reason you borrow money you don't need. And that's the biggest lesson in this entire video. An 800 credit score isn't earned through clever tricks. It's earned through consistent habits repeated over months and years. The real goal is financial freedom, the freedom to buy a home without paying unnecessary interest, the freedom to qualify for better financial opportunities, the freedom to make life decisions based on your dreams instead of your debt. If this video helped you understand how credit really works, you've already taken the first step toward making smarter financial decisions. Here at Vaultora, our goal is simple: to turn complex financial topics into practical knowledge you can actually use. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and joining us as we explore investing, budgeting, wealth building, and the financial strategies that help everyday people create extraordinary futures.